We've been discussing these issues for probably the last 6 months or the last year, and it's got more and more advanced. We've had meetings with multiple coaches, and we've talked to different lawyers and we've talked to different insurance companies about the challenges that we're seeing on both sides of the border. And they've been around for a while, they're getting worse. Sport Canada is doing a lot of investigations and a lot of rule changes to save sport and everything else. One of the things that I feel, and Mark agrees with me, and most of the other people do, is that we need to be more professional about what we're doing. And it's not just swimming coaches, it's all coaches. When you get to the national teams look after you the best they can. But on the way up as a club coach, and most coaches, most of us will only ever be club coaches. It's the missing parts of the puzzle. And the stuff I've sent you and the stuff you sent me back, we're close. I think today what I'd like to do with all of us is see what we can do. We don't have to make decisions today. It's whether things can be done. I'll give you an example. About 3 years ago, the Coaches Association here in British Columbia, one of the things I moved forward on is that when coaches either run into a contract problem or something else, we needed to get access to a lawyer very, very quickly to get advice. And we got a lawyer, and she gave us an hour each time for those people, and we sort of like referred all the coaches to the lady, and that was very, very helpful. We probably had maybe 15 after user during that period of time. Now, what we've seen happen is Swim BC saw that she was doing a great job. They've gone and hired her company to represent the provincial section. So that was our legal avenue gone. Probably a nice chess move by them, right? And we've seen that with the National Swimming Association. The lawyer we had before out of Toronto was probably one of the best lawyers for sport anyway. And he gets hired by the National Swim Canada.
Got it.
So, right? So they're watching us make the moves, and then they try to stop it in whichever way. But it has been helpful. This year, coaches paying anywhere from $10,000 to $40,000 and still winning the case, but it's not gone any further. They haven't been said, sorry, we went through this whole process. All they've got is like the decisions made by the lawyer at that point and the panel that they have to go. But most coaches, I'll be very honest, could not afford what the one coach did of $40,000. I'm sure that was a big chunk of his savings for retirement.
The core problem was coaches are dropping out of swimming or not wanting to coach because of the legal implications and vulnerability with whether it's parents or other outside parties, that coaches just don't feel protected. They're paying thousands of dollars to defend themselves, even when they're fully cleared. You're seeing coaches kind of say, why would I stick around if one complaint could cost me $20,000 plus? And the clubs have some sort of agreements, but they're not sure if it's current or if it's enforceable or if it's even specific enough to the modern today's risks and expectations, right? So when I spoke with Barry previously, like we kind of felt like we could be the missing part of the puzzle where we could, like, what we can be doing for you and your coaches is giving them industry specific written agreement, modern waivers that are not generic, that are not outdated, and are not copied from a template, but industry specific agreements that fully outline their scope, what they do, what they do not do, ensuring that they have the strongest legal position possible, giving them like that that clarity and that confidence that they can go coach and make an impact and on these athletes without having this fear of I'm gonna get sued. Like I'm so liable, I'm vulnerable. So that's where we kind of felt like we could really be this missing puzzle piece, if you will, to give your coaches that confidence and that clarity that legally, like we got their back and legally, they are protected if God forbid something happened.
We have a human
Awesome.
resource problem. I think this conversation should be about trying to get something into the marketplace. That we're going to start throwing darts at specific things. And that clarity and education is exactly what we need. And, it sort of boils down to, the expression CYA. How can we get more coverage as far as, and I think that's going to have to include some educational component too.
Like,
But
we should absolutely do an educational, like whether that's leading a webinar or an in-person, whatever that looks like leading an education on what the risks are, how they need to be protected, what they should know. But my question for you gentlemen is this something of like that would be optional for coaches? Like, would it fall on them to opt into this type of like legal protection, or would it kind of start at the association level as like you need to be protected and standardize that?
I think what we've got, and it's a misunderstanding, or I'm going to say ignorance in some cases, or like me and Mark talk about it, it's lack of education. It's a lack of trust. I'll be very honest. We came across this by this happened and that happened and this happened. Where a lot of coaches, I was at a meet this weekend. I've already got coaches lined up and say, Barry, how much is my insurance going to cost? And a lot of them are ready to, I want to jump in because they've had this, it's not gone that far, but they've had those threats, they've had those issues. But from our point in the BC Coaches Association, what I'm hoping, and we've had some conversations with some of the key people, is that we feel education is the first part that has to happen. I've got roughly 3 prices now of a package that will cover the legal costs. I'm going back and forth with those insurance people and who we jump in bed with, in a sense, on that, what will give us the most payback or the most support. But it is education. We've got coaches out there that feel that their wife's insurance on something covers them, and it really doesn't. We've all been through that. We've all been through something gets stolen out of a car. Well, we don't cover that much, right? You didn't read the fine print. And we need to get to the point of this is in place, this can do it, that can do it. And I think by the education, and like Mark says, we've got to get this out fast before coaches go off and start grabbing their own little things and go, that won't do it, guys. That won't do it. You're not covered here.
Yeah.
And I think the Coaches Association here will back up that fully. And your question is a good one, because I've been looking in the back of my head, should it be compulsory? Is that going to be a hard one? But I think what it would do, like for example, when I go to a certain level in Canada, or we're very, very tight. I have to have these qualifications. I have to have that qualifications. Some stuff, it has to be redone every year, sometimes every 2 years. But it has to be updated all the time. I think from the coaching board situation, and I'm not speaking for them, I've sat on the board for 20 odd years in the past. You go to the point of going, guys, all we can do is advise you to get this insurance. We've worked out that it's affordable. I'm hoping that the Coaches Association will say, Barry, we want to come to the table with this. I don't know if that will happen. But then we say, this group of coaches are all covered. I think from my point, once they get that, even if they move clubs, they go, hey, I know I can do the job. I know my boundaries. I know what I can do and what I can't do. But we've also got a part there to educate the clubs, just like what you
Yep.
mentioned, that the contract has got to be good. Like this contract wouldn't stand up in court. And
Exactly.
this waiver wouldn't stand up. And we might have to have two sets of waivers, both sides of the border, because each province is different here. But I am going to guarantee they are not up to date on the waivers.
Yeah.
And the new
Yeah.
stuff that's coming out from Swim Canada, well, from Sport Canada, sorry, only came out in June and July. I'm sure most of the coaches haven't even seen that document. I haven't seen that document. And I sat down with some coaches at the weekend. I went over it point by point. And they go, Barry, how do I cover that? And I go, no, that's got to be decided between, is it a coach responsibility or is it a club responsibility?
Totally.
So I think that's the main part. And my goal is here, and it's been for a long time, if we can get the coaches insured and they can start settling down, we'll lose less coaches. They will be happier. There'll be less stress on the family. There will be less stress on the profession. But I also think once the coaches have got backing and support mechanisms, we will see less parent problems, because a parent is coming up because he knows all their legal costs are covered by the associations, the PSO, and they wouldn't take it on of going, it might cost you $40,000 if you take this coach on. I am absolutely positive. In stronger clubs on discipline and stuff, we go, it's a yellow card and a red card. I'm sorry, we don't want you in the club anymore because there's too many problems, because those problems spill over to other families. And I think we've just gone through these. I might be wrong, but I think since COVID, we've seen a group of parents push the line to accelerate a lot of things that, they know we're vulnerable. They know what they can do with certain coaches, but they know the boundaries. Like, I kicked 2 years ago, I kicked a family out of the club just because the parent was getting too pushy with me and too verbal and upsetting my parents on the deck. And I said, that's it. There's your money back. Take off. Right. But I had the board's backing on me. It wasn't written in my contract.
Yeah.
I could do that. And lucky enough, the club support me. I said, we can't have this. I can't have it with me. I can't have it with my junior staff. That it's now gone verbal. It could get physical. And there's nothing wrong with the child. So those are just life experiences for me. And I've been around this game a long time. But now we're saying, okay, what do coaches need to deal with life and their job and their professional in today's society?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, if you don't mind, I'll just chime in for a second. And Chad shared a lot of information with me, and obviously being on this call is really helpful. I understand there's an overarching goal of being more professional. Definitely professionalizing the industry is something that our law firm has helped do in the yoga industry. So I understand how important it is getting people access to, having a lawyer quickly, resolving the HR problem that currently exists. Clarity and education are the other things that come up for me that are important. A couple of things. I think the educational piece for sure is really, really important. But also you have to keep in mind that when there's a problem and you need quick access to a lawyer, they're not, a parent has a complaint, there's some sort of allegation of misconduct, whatever, sexual or otherwise, or something happens, having access to an online course in that moment's not, that I think as a longer, bigger term solution, I think the educational piece is really important. But I think more on a practical sense, I think it's having quick access to lawyers. And sort of, Barry, what you were talking about, that situation with the parent and being able to, fire a client, all of that should be in a service agreement. It's like everything we're talking about are the core agreements that we set our clients up with, which usually are a service agreement, waiver of liability, privacy policy, and then immediate release if using any photos or other things. But it's just, I've always explained law as you're a business, you have a series of relationships. The goal in each relationship is to have a written contract that communicates expectations openly and honestly. And cool, a parent raised their voice. Awesome. We can terminate the agreement. We can provide a refund for services that have been paid for but not rendered. All services already rendered are not refunded, and it's finished. You're done. There definitely is a power imbalance between the customers and the coaches. And I think part of what our goal is to stabilize that and give the coaches more stronger legal standing or stronger legal position, so that, they feel confident and secure to navigate. And yeah, and for me, there's a couple of things that come to my mind of different ways that we could support the coaches. I know I'm sure Chad mentioned that we launched a membership program in at the start of August of this year. And essentially what the membership program does is we get back to clients within 24 hours. We give them discount prices off services, expedited responses, and essentially unlimited legal consultations with a lawyer. So right now the price point is for $208 a month. Any of our clients, if they want to become a member, I give them my phone number. I have a work number. Text me, call me, whatever it is that needs to be done. We're here to respond and resolve the situations. Hey, a parent said this to me. What is it that I can do? Another thing that we could do as a possible solution, we set up packages of documents. So we could come up with very, very specific swim coaching package of documents, which could be 3 or 4, that could be specifically tailored towards whatever individual relationship the coach has, both with the club and with the clients. And then that includes the waiver of liability. They switch clubs, they go from this level to that level, whatever it is, make sure that it's compliant with Sport Canada, and just make sure that everyone has these documents, because the reality is, Barry and Mark, I've done this for 9 years. I've worked with 1,600 clients. Getting them the legal documents is a very, very important piece, because when and if a problem comes up, the first question, for me as a lawyer, the first question I always ask my clients is, send me a copy of the signed agreement, right? Because the signed agreement will determine the legal position of each party. And the stronger the legal position is for each party, the easier it will be to navigate the situation. So as an example, we have a gym, someone got injured in the gym, and my client is the gym owner. They got the waiver of liability from us. We specifically outlined the risk and the equipment that were going to be used in that injury. Very unfortunate situation. Someone hurt their head, a serious injury. We get a cease and desist letter for a lawsuit. I reply immediately, here's a copy of the signed waiver of liability. Here's where we told you that you were going to be using the push press machine. We said that a possible accident could be, PTSD or concussions or whatever, something related to that. And before we allowed you to step into the gym, you agreed that if this risk materialized, you would not hold us responsible. And now we go from something that's 6 to 7 figures and years of life, which is not fun, to like, okay, cool. Right now we're 90% ahead of the game. And now it's not a $40,000 problem. Now we've made the burden very, very difficult for someone to overcome. So I just give that as an example. The education piece is really easy. I filmed a lot of online courses for a lot of different educational institutions, as well as sporting clubs and organizations. So that's something that we could wrap up quite quickly. I think for me, the things to think about, the thing that I want to know more of, and I don't know if I'm going to have enough time today because I've got to get a call in 7 minutes. But the first thing that I really want to understand as we're coming up with this are, tell me the past 10 years, all the legal issues that you can remember that come up. What are the most consistent issues and problems? We'll need more time for that. But you guys let me know specifically what problems come up. And then we can tailor the solution that we come up to. And then the other options are, do we want to explore membership? Do we make membership, is membership mandatory? Because then we know that everyone has these access and you can keep coaches for longer. Is it the sale of the documents? So I just wanted to share that sort of where my head's at with everything.
I think that's very, very, very good points. It's nice to see Mark smile on some of the issues. When we probably both started coaching, when parents wouldn't sue, right? We had accidents like we do today, with kids fooling around. It's impossible to stop. We have less, I think swimming has less injuries than most. But the issues now, in this wide band, I can get sued now for not talking to a child at one end of the scale. I can get sued at the top end of the scale, trying to get somebody on the national team by pushing them hard and getting more commitment out of them and everything else. So it's all the way across now. It's all the way across. So we can't protect everything. All we can do is put things in place, right? It takes years to become a senior coach. Me and Mark both know that. It's by trial and error. It's about coaches. It's about your peers helping you. And it's about learning from step by step. So we got young coaches coming in going, I want to be a coach. I want to be a rah-rah person without having one clue about what they're diving in for, right?
Yeah.
So if I look at what I've seen in the last 4 years, I've seen senior coaches have to go to court because they weren't on pick for national teams, even though out of the four athletes that were picked, 3 of them were his, right? He only took it right to the top to lawyers because his own son is a lawyer, and he wins the case. But that's one end of the scale. But we've had coaches fired because they don't know the names of the children on the 4th group down. We've had coaches fired because they didn't move kids up in blocks of 2 or 3. We've had coaches fired because they moved the whole block because the board wanted to have 25 in the group to make the money. So we've got every avenue that's out there. The new stuff, and I'll try and send it you today, tomorrow. Yeah. And I think I might have sent it. The new stuff coming down from Sport Canada, I can understand why they're doing it, and the States is doing the same with their Save Sport. But it's gone to the point, who is responsible? Who is responsible? And some of the stuff that they're now saying should be a coach's response, we're not. I'm not responsible for certain things, but that has to be written in my contract, like you said, right? At the moment, it's not. It's assumed that I don't do that, right? Like for example, we've got some coaches in the country still taking children to swim meets in their own cars, right? Generally, it's frowned on that you have left yourself wide open, but they're trying to save the family money. They're trying to save the club money. But all of a sudden, they become major issues. Not if there's a car accident or a close call. It's about what were the conversations that were in the car. You don't have a leg to stand on.
Yeah.
And 99%, there will be no bad conversations. But all of a sudden, it comes an issue. And I think that's on the education side. And I think the education side will get us getting more people on board to buy insurance and take it out. Because all of a sudden, I didn't realize this new stuff was going to impact me. And once it impacts you, you can't get insurance. We know that, right? Yeah. It's too late. You need a good lawyer to step up to the plate and go, whoa, no, like, this is not good. You didn't get it in your contract. And you have a good point there. A really, really good point. You know, I've been through the mill on some of this stuff. And some coaches go in and they develop, you know, they've been there for 10 years and a new board comes in, but the atmosphere changes. The atmosphere changes, the contract stays the same, and all of a sudden, whoa, you didn't do this, but you interpreted it different than the other guys did. That's the other issue that's out there.
Yeah, it's also the landscape, the legal landscape is changing so much, both in the United States and Canada. And you're right. And these things that used to be a gesture of goodwill, like trying to take the kid in your car, in the current state of what's going on in society, there's so many implications to that.
Yeah.
Which makes everything more challenging and more difficult to navigate. I'm sorry, guys, you'll have to excuse me. I've got another call that starts now.
That's okay. Yeah,
but we'll keep things moving and we'll keep in communication. I'd love to support you. And lastly, Barry, just so you don't worry, I don't think there's any swim association that will be trying to pick me off or take me to meet with them. I have my own business. I love it very much. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Cool. Cheers, guys. Nice to meet you. And
All
we'll
right,
keep
bye.
in communication.
So Chad, then what's your role? How do you see yourself fitting in here? What do you think you'll be able to deliver, or you and your firm?
Yeah, I think where we'll really be able to deliver is like what Corey said, is just the education of it, the education aspect, whether it's like live webinars that we do quarterly, and it depends how coaches get onboarded and whatnot. But then it's education as a pillar, and then the second pillar would be a lawyer in their corner, like ongoing, unlimited legal support, right? So whether that's being able to talk to a lawyer day of if something comes up, but then also like better than insurance, what we kind of were talking about, the law is super black and white. So offering to coaches, like maybe the membership is something that paid for by the association, so all coaches can have access to it, or B, coaches can opt into a personalized package where they're getting industry specific like waiver, service agreement, media release that are super specific to the problems, the risks, the scale, with language that, if God forbid somebody gets hurt, or a coach is pushing hard, or pointing them in this direction for this school or to make this USA team, right? That the agreement gives them the strong the package of the agreements that they purchase, the documents give them the strongest legal position possible, so that immediately, like if something does come up and a parent or somebody wants to pursue legal action, we're able to say, hey, this agreement right here showed that this risk that did and can materialize was foreseeable. So if you pursue legal action, like we're going to counter sue you for 5 times the price, right? To make that issue go away, to immediately be able to mitigate it. So I see us being able to be an educational pillar to really educate coaches on what the law is, how to stay best protected, and B, giving them unlimited support and industry specific agreements that are modern and actually protect them, that give them control of a situation when needed in a crisis. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I just think
are you an attorney too?
I'm
Or-
not. I'm
Okay.
not. Corey's our head attorney.
Okay.
I'm more on the partnership business development side.
Great.
But I've been in law for. I come from a family of
That's okay.
lawyers.
That's great.
So Corey and our legal team will do the education and the legal support. What I'll be able to do is really help structure and organize
Perfect.
what this needs to look like for you guys. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Well, let's do this. Maybe like let's keep a tight dialogue. I think we just need to kind of formalize something. I know you want to roll something out sooner than later. So if we need to talk about timelines, if we want to first talk about, how can we educate, what I'll do on my end is I could kind of come up with some packages that coaches can opt into. And then we could formalize the education, whether that's a webinar, whether that's a module. But we could kind of figure out just how we need to structure it and what it needs to look like from your guys' end for you to feel really confident, and for your coaches to feel really confident that they're protected and that we got their back.
Okay. Just a FYI, I do have some good tech skills and tech resources for making online learning modules.
Great.
And recording of this. I started a simple course just called CYA, and we can dump things in there just as a holding ground and as an ongoing reference library.
Perfect. That's fantastic. We'll lean on you for that then. And you gentlemen too, like let us know what the timeline looks like. And however we need to structure it, like let's figure that out so we could, just get started helping your coaches educate with education and with the legal support immediately.
That sounds great, Chad. Thank you very
Cool.
much.
Yeah, thank you guys. All right, well, Barry, I'll send an email to both you and Mark, and let's kind of just keep the dialogue on next steps then from here. Okay.
I'll send you that package that came from Sport Canada. Maybe not today, maybe tomorrow. Okay.
Cool.
Be good bedtime reading.
Yeah, great. Perfect. I love bedtime reading. Put me right to sleep. No, I'm kidding.
All right. Thank you
All right,
very
well,
much.
thank you for your time, guys.
Yeah. Thanks,
We'll be in
Mark.
touch shortly. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Barry, for setting this up.
Yeah. Thank you.
Chat soon.